Hello, hello, and good morning. Happy Saturday. Happy soulful Saturday, y'all. Welcome to the Success Code Fireside Chats with your girl, Lorna. I'm super excited for our conversation today because I know that this is going to be a conversation that a lot of people are going to relate to. Um, because it's that time. It's that time of the season. It's 6 months into the year, and you may be, as a business owner, you may be wondering what is the next best thing to do to hit those goals in December. Maybe you have not. Even seen those goals come to fruition as yet. And I'm here to tell you, uh, don't worry. If you stay in committed action, it's going to happen. So I'm excited to be here today. This week has been another hot week, y'all. Another hot week. So I was supposed to have a guest today, and something really serious happened last night, and she's not able to jump on with us today. And we're sending prayers and all the things to her and her friends that this thing happened to. And just know that everything is happening for us, no matter what it looks like. Right? I always tell that to my clients. No matter what it looks like, everything is happening for us. So if we stay connected to that, it kind of alleviates all the stress that we tend to feel when things look like they're not going right. So today, you guys got me all to yourselves, and today we're going to talk about a success myth of being stuck, being stuck. Because a lot of times people think that being stuck means that you're not successful. Being stuck means that there's something wrong. And I want to say the opposite is true. The total opposite is true. So let me start off by just debunking the myth right away, right? It's 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 actually the opposite. I'm sorry, hold on. I'm getting caught up in this. It's actually the opposite of what we think it is. Uh, Being in that phase of that feeling, remember it's a feeling, so that phase is actually a sign that you have outgrown with who you've been up until now. Wow, and wow, and wow. Isn't that juicy stuff? That's so juicy. The fact that if you just lean in to the fact that if you feel stuck in any way. I was at a couple of networking events this week, and I was talking to a young lady, very successful, gorgeous. um, she's done so much, she's been through so much, and she's done so much. And as I'm standing there and listening to her, really taking in what she was saying, I could hear how she was feeling like, okay, what do I do now? Because I feel stuck. And I'm standing there, and because I am a guide. Oh, that's another story I'm going to tell you in a minute. But let me finish this one. Um, because I guide people into their own discovery, we continued the conversation, and then she realized that where she was at in the moment in our conversation was just part of the process as well, right? So what am I trying to say to you? What am I trying to impart to you? All right, I'm not trying to impart, I'm hoping it's important that when you feel stuck, it's a sign of growth. It's a sign of the next level. It's a sign that it's time to get uncomfortable. You've been hearing me talk about being uncomfortable. If you follow me online everywhere, you hear me talk about uncomfortability a lot, because that is the place where you grow. That's the place where you expand. That's the place where you can actually say that you're being successful, right? The money is good. The money is a part of it. The money is the flow of it. And before the money comes, you got to expand, right? So Um, Here's how the myths usually play out, because I want you to recognize them. I want you to recognize when the myths are playing in your head, so that when you see it, you know how to shift it, right? When you see it, you know how to shift it. So it could look like, why am I not motivated anymore? Why doesn't this bring me joy anymore? Right? Or it could even look like, why is this thing not working like it used to? Believe, y'all know I come in here and I tell you stuff that I have experienced. I am not talking from theory over here, right? I'm talking from experience. I used to sit and say, why isn't this working anymore? And I did not, until I got into this world of transformation, I did not realize that that was actually telling it was time for the next level, right? And it wasn't until I almost crashed a car when I was working so hard in 2008, when the market crashed and everything was going bonkers in real estate. And I reinvented myself and started a new portion of my business. And I started it on my own, and I didn't build a team around it until it wasn't working anymore. That was a sign that I had to up level to team instead of doing it by myself, right? And then when I brought team on, photographers, data entry people, a manager, everything changed. Everything changed. It opened up time. It created more cash. Everything changed, right? So that's what you got to lean into. You got to know the signs. That's why I'm giving you examples of what it looks like, what it feels like, so that when you recognize it, you can step into the question and then move into what's next, right? It can also look like you saying to yourself, oh, maybe I'm not cut out for this. Anybody's been there? Anybody's been there? Who are my people? Who are my people who have been there and have said that to themselves, right? You said it to yourself, right? And what would it look like? What would it look like for you to step into your power, right? And when you feel like that, you turn that around and say, I'm cut out for this. I'm cut out for this. What would that look like if you said you were cut out for this, for the next level? That is how you up level, right? No matter what else it looks like, when you talk to yourself and say, I'm cut out for this, then everything opens up for you. Okay. The other way it could look like, it could look like you saying things like, I have everything, but I still feel empty. I still feel like something is missing. I still feel like, you know, there's something off. There's something not aligned, right? All of these, take the case that all of this stems from the belief that success is supposed to look and feel good forever. Listen, I'm telling you, I told you I came in here to debunk the myth, right? It's not supposed to look like that. I was talking on a podcast yesterday, and I was sharing with them, I'm blessed to look at water every day because it's really close to me, right? And as I look at the water, I see the ripples, right? And the ripples teach me so many things, including the fact that life is ebbs and flows. It's ebbs and flows. It's ups and downs. It's not linear. It's not a straight line up, right? Um, and so when you learn how to manage your mind around that, then it becomes it becomes easier. It becomes easier to maneuver the emotions that come around. It becomes easier to maneuver the feelings that you feel. And just know that every new season, you probably heard me say this before, every new season requires a new version of you. The person that you started with when you said yes to becoming an entrepreneur you have evolved so much. You probably just haven't taken the time to see how much you have evolved as a person, because it actually requires that, right? It requires you to stop and look at how you have accomplished what you have accomplished and acknowledge it, and then you see that it's a process. It really requires the next version of you. Every time you've up leveled, it required something different from you. It required a different level of you that you probably didn't even recognize. And if you did, great. Maybe if you're listening to this today, it's a sign that you get to be reminded that this is how it works, right? Let me just check my camera real quick. Hey, y'all, whoever's. Oh, hi, Jen. Good morning, darling. How are you? Thanks for being here. Um, uh, Let me see something. All right. So here's what we're going to talk about next. I want to talk about the myths that are holding back driven female entrepreneurs like ourselves. Because I'm you, you're me, right? We're the same, right? So a lot of times, and I see this even in my business, a lot of times we tend to hold on like banjies. We hold on like banjies to the myth that, the strategies that we've worked with will work forever. It will work forever. And just like you get to become a new version of yourself, the strategies get to change as well. Why? Why? It's because the vision typically gets, because the mission is getting bigger, right? More responsibility, bigger vision, right? Oh, it used to work, but it's not working anymore. And then we tend to hold on because we're so attached to what's worked for, that we don't know how to detach from it. It actually opens up the expansiveness of what else is possible, and it allows other things to flow in, other ideas to flow in, other people to bring ideas to flow in, and other people actually to show up to support the new level of vision that you're creating, right? So a lot of times we get the myths that using the same works. And I'm inviting you into shifting that myth into what else is possible. What else is possible, right? What else is possible in addition to, or what else is possible if I put that strategy aside. So you got to really think through this stuff, right? You really got to think through it, because there's no one-sided coin. There's no one way to do things. Or we wouldn't have enterprise. We would not have enterprise if there was only one way to do anything, right? So open up your mind to possibility. Actually opens up you to get to the next level. Another myth that we don't pay attention to, which I alluded to already, but I'm going to go a little bit deeper into it because I want to give language to it for you. Is the myth that know the things shifting on the inside, that's the indicator that you get to start thinking about, okay, what does my next level look like? A lot of times we dismiss that as self-sabotage. Who are my people who know that word? Self-sabotage, right? Self-sabotage is a myth. Yes, I said it. I know in the coaching world, in the entrepreneurial world, we have it, we wear it as a badge of honor. We're like, oh, I'm self-sabotaging. I hear it all the time. Y'all, I heard it yesterday. I heard it yesterday. Um, but take the case that self-sabotage is just um and I would invite you actually to reframe that word, to reposition that word in your mind. That when that comes up, you ask a different question, right? Like, what is this internal feeling letting me know? What it because it's only an indicator, right? It's like fear, same thing. Fear is an indicator. So self sabotage is actually the fear of what? The fear of being successful, the fear of being judged, the fear of whatever the fear is, and then you've got to walk through how you're going to get to the other side of that. You know, the lady who was supposed to come on today, she was going to talk about mental wealth. All of what I'm saying today, all of it starts in the mind. All of it. All of it starts in the mind because we are what we think. At the end of the day, we are what we think. Period. End of story. Right. And so when we learn how to manage the emotion, right, and therefore managing the mind, then you can move through these shifts. You can experience it and move through it and get to the other side of it, right? You know, the next myth I'm going to talk about is it's one of those that people hide, and even being successful, they hide it, because they don't know how to manage it. They don't know how to handle it, and it's the myth of the myth of shame, shame, shame for evolving into our next level. We don't want people to judge us. We don't want people to um, think that we think we're better than other people. You know, and it's society's way of um, keeping us in our place, especially as women, right? Especially as women. Y'all know I'm gonna bring it to the table. You guys can take it or leave it, right? So if you ever felt like you don't want to evolve because you're worried about what people are going to think about you evolving to the next level, I'm going to give you permission to evolve. I'm going to give you permission to evolve, because unless you evolve, you are not going to be able to give other people permission to evolve. Does that make sense? You got to give other people permission to evolve, because that's what we're here for. We're here to experience more of life. And I'm going to say, it took me a minute to figure that out. That's why I'm so bullish on the success code fireside chats, because I want to bring this new thought to you guys, and have you start thinking a different way, start embodying the new you, and start um, you know, creating from a different place, not just from a place of grind and a place of, oh, just have more to have more. Let's have more to expand, right? What would it look like to have more and expand at a level that is like you never thought you could, just because you walk through all the things that I just shared with you. Um, Give me 1 second. And so I want you to really think about, just think about what that next level, that next version of you could look like, right? However successful you are. And let's talk about success for a minute. Usually when I have a guest on the show, I typically start the show asking them what is their definition of success. And one of the things that I've come to understand, and I'm my own guest today, right? So one of the things that I've come to understand about success is that it's not just about the money in the bank. it's or the money, the income level, or the cash flow, or and all of that is a part of it. We can all agree on that. Yes, we can all agree on that. I'm stepping into the level of success of me being 100% accepting of myself, and 100% in gratitude of every day I wake up. To me, that is like the epitome of success. When I get up, right now, as I'm talking to you in this space that I'm in, it's beautiful. That's success. I'm looking out at trees, they're green, the sun is shining. I'm enjoying all of what I'm seeing. That is success to me, because I feel like if that isn't happening, well, what's the point? What's the point? So today, I'm going to invite you to, and every time you tune into this channel, I'm going to invite you to always ask yourself, what does success look like to me? What does success feel like to me? What does success mean to me? Because I'm inviting every one of us. And if you notice and you go back and you look at all the and listen to all the episodes that we have done so far, every single person that has come on the show has given a different definition of success, right? So remember, I'm debunking the myths. So I want to debunk the myths so that you create for yourself what success gets to look like. Wow. Imagine that. Imagine you creating your definition of success and living that out. Wow. Like, wow. I'm excited for you. I'm so excited for you, because here's what I know. I know that it's going to shift the level of pressure that you have on yourself to be quote unquote successful based on what everybody else has taught us to look at the definition of success, right? How many people do you know who are quote unquote successful and are miserable? Well, do you want to be one of those? I don't. I do not want to be one of those. I want to be happy, joyful, and experiencing life the way I want to create it. Right. This is why I'm so excited, and I'm going to mention my event that's coming up June 26th to 28th. This is the stuff that we're going to go deep into Grit and Thrive Live, because we want to make sure that you're not just doing surface level, because at the end of the day, surface level living causes and creates chaos. Chaos. We always wonder how we create chaos. Well, when you come to this room and I show you how you create chaos, right? Now, here's another thing I want to talk about. I want to talk about the big F again. I mentioned it before, but I want to jump into it one more time. Success does not mean that you're not going to feel fear. Again, you gotta manage the fear. And the way I would encourage you to manage it is to reframe it. And I'm going to debunk the distinction that's out there in the world talking about false evidence appearing real. I'm going to debunk that. And I'm going to tell you why. The evidence is not false. I know the evidence is not false. It's actually real, because you're feeling it. So how are you going to say it's false, right? How are you going to say it's false? So I'm going to say to you, create a new definition of fear for yourself that empowers you to move, to have the feeling and move through it anyway, right? Feel the fear and move through it anyway. The other day I posted a reel that I found on Instagram of this little boy. He was so cute, but so he was so, oh my gosh, this kid. And every time I feel fear, I go back and I watch that. I watched that little reel because it was so good. He was like, let's do it. Let's do it. Give it. He was getting blood taken out of his arm. Kid was like maybe 4 years old. Come on, give it to me. Give it to me. Let's do it. Let's do it. He was crying. He was crying. Let's do it. I could have sworn he was talking in tongues. You got to go find it because it was so funny, but so good, right? And what would it look like for us to be like that? To know that the thing is gonna hurt. It's gonna hurt. We know it's gonna hurt, but if we know it's gonna hurt and be like, bring it on, just give it to me, right? And move through it. A whole different thing, right? So the fear is not false. So I'm debunking that for y'all right now because it's not. It's an indicator that something gets to be addressed. So if it's an indicator that something gets to be addressed, well, what would it look like if we just say, okay, fear, I don't know, facts, evidence, um, I don't know, what could we use the A? Facts, evidence, requiring action and responses. I don't know. Maybe that works because that's exactly what you get to do, right? It's evidence that something is happening, that there's a thought that it's not aligned with who you are, that you get to look at, that you get to respond to, right? And you get to take action on. So reframing the word fear for yourself is going to support that success, whatever you deemed it to be. It's going to support you in getting there, right? And by the way, success has different levels. Remember we said that earlier. Success has different levels. So the level of success you're at right now is great, and there's more. There's a law called the law of more life. I was having a conversation with my brother about that, and he was the one who actually reminded me because I had learned about the law of more life from a mentor, David Nagel, and because that's one of the things that I love about the diverse um, mentors that I've had, because they've supported me in kind of like putting the puzzle together, and I'm still putting the puzzle together. Don't get me wrong, I'm not, you know, believe me, I don't have it all together either. But I've learned so much and started implementing so much. And when I get into these places, these stuck places, I reach for my ammunition from that I've learned from my mentors, right? That's why I'm sharing this stuff with you guys, because that's what I do. I want to collapse the time for you so that you don't spin and spin and spin and wondering why is this not working? There's little things, and again, the little things. Once you do the little things, it's going to shift for you. Okay. So again, the truth doesn't, the fear, the truth is the fear doesn't go away. You just learn how to lead yourself through it. Right. And that's the self leadership that I support women with. So you can actually take that, um, take that fear and build your courage, build your confidence, because confidence comes from taking action. You know, and I'll just mention this real quick. One of the things that I am so I so disagree with in the coaching world is when people say, I will teach you confidence. You can't teach people confidence. The only way I know as human beings that we can gain confidence is when we take action. And I'll tell you why, right? I'll tell you why I have that belief. If you think about a child, think about when the baby's born, they depend on the parent to take them anywhere in the world, right? They have to be lifted up and carried in their arms for anything, right? And when they get to just around 1.5 years old, then they start trying things on their own. Even before that, they start trying to come off the bed, even though they can't walk. See? And as they come off the bed, they fall down. Every time they fall down, it's one more level of confidence that gets the confidence muscle that gets built. Then they crawl around, they hit stuff, they knock stuff down, things fall on their head because they're moving, they're learning, they're feeling their way around the world, right? And we have forgotten that as adults. We got to feel our way around the world. We got to feel our way around life and not get stuck in the myth of what people other people have told us success must look like, right? If we go back to being children of curiosity, right? What would it look like, right? I know I'm there. You coming? But let's go back to the child, right? Crawling, holding the chair, raising themselves up until now they can stand and they're like, oh my God, I can stand. And then they fall down. They either cry or they don't, right? And then they build more confidence. Oh, I did that. Now let me try and move my leg. And they try to move the leg and they fall down. This is our life, y'all. And this is our life all the way to the ground, all the way back to dirt. And when we get um, aligned with that, it makes it so much easier, right? So build that courage, feel the fear, do it anyway. Be like that little boy who took the needle and said, bring it on, bring it on. Just give it to me, right? And if you want a copy of that reel, just send me a DM, and I'll be more than happy to send it to you because it's such an encouraging uh, reel. That kid has no idea how he has impacted so many lives just by showing the courage that he had to move through something painful like that. All right. Are you guys I hope you guys are getting some good stuff out of this. I hope you guys are getting some good stuff out of this. Let me see if there's anything in the chat. Justina, I think I lost my connection for a minute there. All right. So the next piece is um, oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. This is a good one. All right. Y'all always hear me talk about consistency, right? Because I believe that consistency is a compounding factor. And I believe that taking action on the goal, taking action towards the vision gets to be a compound effect, right? And but the one thing I want to debunk is that and I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of this. I've been guilty of everything that I've talked to you about. I've been guilty of it. Um, the myth is that you have to be consistent to be credible. Oh yes, this is that you. It's actually a myth. Now you got to remember what consistency is. Consistency is taking the action that you said you were going to take. Right. Consistency is actually the commitment towards the thing. Right. Um, So if you are evolving, your rhythm will too. That's not necessarily um, accepted in our world, right? Because people think that consistency is your identity. It's not. Your identity is who you be in the world. It's your identity is tied to your values. So um, you're not flaky, you're growing. You're not if you miss a day, if you're committed to the action, you will come back in and do the action. It's like working out, right? Every day, if you're committed to working out, you're gonna go to the gym every day, maybe, right? And the days that you don't go, you're gonna call it your rest day. But going to the gym is not going to be just going to the gym. It's going to be a goal you set maybe to go to the gym 3, 4 times a week. And maybe if something happens and you're not able to go the 3 or 4 times a week, as long in my world, as long as you get back into the rhythm of going back to the gym right away, then you can continue your consistency. If you neglect going back to the gym right away, then take the case that that's breaking the rhythm, that's breaking the momentum, and then you got to start from scratch again, which we all know how that feels, right? So I'd rather you think about it as taking consistent, aligned action versus forced action, right? Who are we guilty? Who are my people who are guilty of forced action? Forced action, and how does that feel, right? Because take the case that forced action really causes resistance, and then that stops the flow of the results that we're looking for. I know I've done it, even, and I've done it as recently as creating this Grit and Thrive live event, where I've just been doing, and not really thinking about the aligned doing. There's a difference, y'all. That's the thing I want to bring to your presence. There's a difference between just taking action and taking inspired action, which is aligned action, right? Two different things creating two different results. And it's a thing. It's a thing that can stop you and cause that stuckness that we started talking about. Oh my God. This is, I don't even know what number we're up to, but this one here. Oh, this one here, this one here, this one here. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. Let me take a sip. Give me 1 second. Because this one here is, we've been so ingrained with it. And it's, if it's not hard, it's not valuable. I'm going to say it one more time. If it's not hard, it's not valuable. How many of us have grown up with that myth? And if you're watching this on the replay, if you're still here, I'm not seeing oh, yes, if you're here, I want can you share with me if you've grown up in that space, if you've grown up hearing that if it's not hard, it's not valuable. Or if it's been implied, if you haven't heard it, it may have been implied. Because I'm gonna say we've all heard it. I'm gonna tell you what it sounded like. You got to work hard for everything. I know every West Indian will confirm that. I don't know too much about the American, how Americans are brought up when they were little, what they heard, but I know every West Indian heard that. You got to work hard, right? Hard work pays off. You hear it, like this is how it shows up. So I know everybody's heard it in some way, shape, or form. And I'm not saying not to work hard. Hear the distinction, right? It's not, I'm not saying that. I'm saying that you can work hard and not feel valuable, right? So the truth is, ease is not the enemy. Ease is not the enemy. Ease is actually alignment. It actually feels simpler. So simple does not mean that you don't work. Simple just means you work in alignment, so it feels better. So it releases resistance, right? With that resistance I just talked about in the last one, releases resistance so that things can feel good. It can feel flowy. It can feel creative. I was just talking on that podcast yesterday about how I did not consider myself creative. Well, how do you not consider yourself creative and end up in 6 collaborative books where you wrote a chapter in each book? How does that work? Doesn't work. But I just I hold on to a lot of the old myths. So as I'm teaching you this stuff, I'm working through it as well, because my parents taught me certain things. And until, I always say awareness is the first step to transformation, right? So when you're aware now that it's you can work hard and with ease. It's actually simpler, right? Isn't that just such an oxymoron? Huh? Yeah. Why do we only trust the things that drain us? Why? 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 So I'm going to encourage you to start thinking about, when we talk about ease, we don't mean not do anything. I don't mean not doing anything. I just mean make sure it's aligned, which is why I teach on vision and values that get you into alignment, right? Okay. Ooh, this one is good. This last one is good. This last one is so good. Um, you have to hit rock bottom to transform. You have to hit rock bottom to transform. Well, is that true? Because I'm here. I'm here as your guide. I'm here as your guide to collapse the time. That's why I'm sharing all this stuff with you. So if you're open to it, it's an opportunity for you not to hit rock bottom. 'Cause I'm telling you, I'm giving you the formula. I'm giving you the formula. You just got to listen if you want to. And it's an idea, right? These are ideas. So my intention here in this conversation is to open up your mind to start thinking and asking yourself the question, what do I think about this? All the questions all the myths I've given you today, what do I think about them? For me, outside of everything else, what do I think about them? So the truth is that you don't have to suffer to grow. You don't. Suffering is a choice. Ooh, write that one down. Suffering is a choice because the answers are already here. Awareness, I'm going to say it again. Awareness is enough for you to shift. Awareness is the first step in transformation. And once you become aware, now you get to choose. Now you get to choose. Do I stay? Because here's the thing, you can't unknow what you now know. All the things that you've heard me talk about in the last 45 minutes, you cannot unhear it. You can't unhear it. But you get to choose how you move forward with the data that you now have, right? Do I accept the data? Do I research the data? Do I implement the data? What am I doing with this data that I just acquired, right? Or am I going to choose to stay where I'm at? Because staying where you're at is choosing to be stuck. Listen, it is what it is. Staying where you're at. After the data I've just given you, staying where you're at is choosing to be stuck. Now you got to work with that, right? Can't say you're stuck if you're choosing it, right? Um, and the breakthroughs don't have to be dramatic to be powerful. You just get one aha moment and one decision. And if you're in my world, I always teach the word decision. I learned this from a mentor. I didn't even learn this in school, y'all. I learned this as a grown woman from a mentor named not Miles Monroe, Myron Golden. No, it was Miles Monroe. I learned it from Miles Monroe. Decision comes from the Latin word desire, which means to cut off all other possibility. So, all the things that I'm sharing with you today, if you choose, you can decide to do something different. And then now that's the new level of learning. That's the new level of experiencing and moving through your life and building, right? So, that in itself is so powerful. Just making the decision is powerful. The decision to stop living in the myths of what we've been taught all our lives, because it only do you know what I also learned? I want to share this nugget with you. Have you ever wondered? Have you ever wondered how truth was decided? How do you determine what is true? So ask yourself that question, right? How do you determine what's truth? Because I've come to understand that truth only gets made in the collective. Like the truth that we accept. Let me put it that way. The truth that we accept can only get created as a collective. That's what forms truth. But you can form your own truth, which is, like that's the power, forming your own truth, right? So just look at all the things I've shared with you. I think there's one, hold on, let me see. Um, There's a few more. Let me see if I could stick them in here. Give me 1 second. We have, okay, I think I could do a few more. I think I could do a few more. Okay, let's do three more. We're good. We're good. Let's do three more, and I promise we'll end on time. I'm going to do three more, and then maybe we continue this when my mental health lady comes on. We can continue all to talk about these a little bit deeper when we have more time. Okay. Oh, this is a good one. This is a good one. This is a good one because this happens even in spaces where people are at 6, 7, and 8 figures, right? I need more information before I can act. Oh, that's such a myth. Such a myth. Information doesn't change lives because I bet you have a ton of information. I just gave you a ton of information, but I also gave you activation. I just gave you activation. I gave you activation in the form of you get to decide, right? And create and implement. That's activation, right? That's the truth. The truth is activation works, but you got to decide, right? Um, and that's the part of being responsible, right? We got to be responsible for our lives, and it's not easy. It's not an easy thing to be responsible at any level, but it's something that we get to step into, right? You're not you you don't need more information, you just need more activation, right? And I'm here to activate you by disrupting your mindset, disrupting what you already know, and encourage you to start seeking the truth for yourself, your own truth, because that's where the power lies. All right. The next one is the myth of, although this one is for me, I'm still working through it. I'm still working through it. I'm still working through it because um, I am a, I look at a lot of things, right? This one is the myth of success is a solo journey. I don't think that's a myth anymore because I see more and more that a lot of, I'm in a lot of communities. So I think that just by being in a lot of communities, that's a sign, and this is my truth. You figure out what that is for you. That it's a sign that things are shifting in that myth. That myth is being debunked already. Is my point, because there's so many communities that are being created. Go high level in our world of entrepreneurship. If you're listening to me and you're an entrepreneur, the go high level community, the school community, you have so many female networking communities. Communities are being created. A lot of communities are being created. The only thing that I will say about that is this: um, just be mindful that when you're in the community, you are intentional about the community that you get involved with, and what that community has to offer you and what you have to give to the community. Because some of the communities I've seen out there, there's a one-sided, um, there's a one-sidedness happening that doesn't work, because that's not the law, right? And when you come into my world, I talk about the universal laws a lot. And I see where, yes, we have evolved into community collaboration, and coexisting, co-creation, because those are what collapse times in businesses, right? That's a key, guys. All that is a way to collapse time building a business, and make sure that the unity that you join is in alignment with your values, so that when you're participating in the community, it's a win-win. It's a win-win-win, actually. Win-win-win. Okay. So think about that when you're the point is, you don't get to do it alone. That's the point, right? You don't get to do it alone. You get to find a community that supports you, and that you can give into. And that's the giving part. is also a huge piece, because some people, and I've seen it, and I'm bringing it again, I'm debunking the myth. Some people think that when they go into a community, it's just to get from the community. No, 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 no. You got to give to the community as well. And the community builders, they get to remember to give to you, right? Because sometimes people just go into the community and all they want is your monthly membership fee, and they don't do anything else. That's not what you're that's not what I'm talking about. I'm talking about fair exchange, where you join a community that supports you, and you contribute to that same community as well. So we have unification. Yeah. All right, the last one. I promise this is the last one. Um, this is a this is a myth that even at high levels, because again, it's an evolution, right? So you're always going to hit a ceiling. um, I think I've mentioned before, I don't remember if it was on the show, but I mentioned before that a great book for you to read to understand income levels, and see income levels based on ceilings, ceilings based on beliefs, ceilings based on income, all the things, is a book called The Big Leap by Gay Hendrickson. Gay Hendricks. Gay Hendricks, Big Leap. If you read that book, you'll understand what I'm gonna say next. And it's that there's a myth out there that says my worth is tied to my results. My worth is tied to my results. That is why people like Jamie Lee Kern wrote a book called Worthy. That is why Catherine Woodward wrote a book called Calling in the One, and a few other ones. Because a lot of people, especially women, are tying their value to their results, right? Guilty, 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 guilty. And it takes something, including the awareness, to shift that, right? And it's a powerful shift, because that one shift alone escalates and accelerates your growth, right? So your outcomes don't determine how valuable you are. They just reveal how aligned you are. Ooh, your outcomes don't determine your value. They just reveal that you're not aligned. So then you got to look at your values and your beliefs, right? So this again, guys, this is the stuff that we're going to work on at the Grit and Thrive Live event coming up in 2 weeks, 10 days, 13 days, something like that, in Dallas. So if you don't have your ticket, I'm going to invite you to click on the link below this video, grab your ticket, get into the room. Let's work on it. So you've got to learn how to separate your sale. This is so good on so many levels. You've got to learn how to separate your self-worth from your sales sheet. You've got to do that, because that's the definition. When you attach your self-worth to your sales sheet, that's ammunition for you to burn yourself out. Now, don't get me wrong, this is why the aligned action that we talked about earlier is so important, because when you are aligned with the action that you're taking, guys, let's be real. Sometimes, even when you're taking the aligned action, you don't get the result that you wanted. Let's be real. We're on the Success Code Fireside Chats, where business meets real talk. We talking real talk. Sometimes the aligned action don't give us the results that we want, but that's only feedback. That's only feedback for you to look at. Okay, I did this. What worked? What didn't work? And then adjust. Right? So I want to encourage you today to really find the time to rewatch this episode, because I think that A lot of it will save you so much time, so much suffering. By the way, choose, I will leave you with this. One of the things I want to leave you with is choose no more suffering. Decide that you will no longer suffer. If you get to have some support, find the support. You can reach out to me. You can reach out to anybody who you know has had the experience and knows how to move you through these spaces, so that you can get to the other side, whichever level that you are. Because remember, I told you again, the woman I was talking to this past week, one of them, by the way, this week, I think it was two or three women that I spoke to, said the same thing. So I know it's in the space. She's really successful. When I say she's really successful. And for her to say what she said about being stuck and not realizing what her next step should be, because she's lost, her vision. She's lost what her values are. And by the way, she actually said what I just said. Her outcome, she's attached to. That's her identity. She actually said it, right? So I want to make sure that you get to know that your values are not attached to your sales sheet, because if it is, then that's a stop, that's a ceiling, and you're going to hit the ceiling at some point. So if we can support you now to recognize it so that you can actually work past it, not hit the ceiling, recognize it when you're hitting the ceiling and move through it faster, then you can support and do all the things and have all the impact that you want, right, in the world. So that's the stuff that I wanted to share with you. Oh, hi Terry, how are you, my friend? That's the stuff that I wanted to share with you today, and I hope this was supportive for you to really accelerate your business and your life in a way that you never thought possible. And thank you for staying in our world, right? Because as I am evolving myself, I'm sharing this stuff with you. Y'all, we're doing this together, y'all. We're doing this together. And I still wanted to ask you to like, subscribe, and share this channel with your friends and your family and all the people you know, so that we can all, as a collective, make the shift in our own way and create our own truth. And yes, maybe the truth will somehow be a collective truth, but a collective truth of choice. That's the difference, right? It's a collective truth of choice. So like, subscribe, and share. Thank you for your comments. Let me know what else you want to hear, because I'm always going to bring the debunking. But if you want to hear more things, if you want me to bring on certain guests on the show, let me know who those are. I'll I call myself the connector. I'm connected to a couple of people who might know some people who you want to hear talk about the success myths that they had to work through. So let me know that. Put in the comments. And lastly, again, I'm going to do a shameless plug for my show, my show, for my event coming up on June 26th to 28th here in Dallas, the Grit and Thrive live event. Almost all the things that I spoke about today will be addressed at deeper levels in that event. So you don't want to miss it, because I can guarantee you will change. You're coming in one way and you're leaving another. Because like I said before, the version of you who you've created up until now to get you to the level that you're at, is you get to be a different version to create the next season of what that gets to look like. Thank you so much for being here on the Success Show Fireside Chats. I will see you next week, same time. Bring yourself here. Let's evolve. Let's go, because without you, somebody else is suffering. All right. Have a great week. Bye-bye.